Shalom, I'm giving all praise to Yahawah, Shem, Qadash, Shalom to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect out there. Shalom to you all. I'm going to make this video relatively quick. Let's see where the Spirit takes me. Anyway, I'm going to entitle this video. I had a bunch of titles in my head, and I'm going to entitle this video, Christians Don't Understand St. John 7:35. Now, I was listening to a little bit last night of a video that the Vocab Malone put on with this other Jake that had a debate with Deacon Atha. So I tried to find it, and I couldn't find it on Vocab's page, so obviously he put it up at a later date. I believe it was live, but I saw parts of it. The part that I caught was the part where they were going in to, they were dealing with St. John 7:35, and they started laughing that Atha going to use that scripture and he's breaking it down the wrong way or interpreting it the wrong way. Well, anyway, let's go into it. And all scriptures, I mean, all Christians out there that are really into the scriptures, they have their scholar cap on, and they're really into this. Not your everyday, your Christian that, goes when it's, when somebody dies or Easter, they'll go. They don't go to. They're not regular. Then you have the regular people that go on Sundays but don't learn anything, don't grow. But then you have Christians that spend a certain amount of years, 4 years, whatever, in a seminary school to learn the scriptures, and going to these seminaries, which I call cemeteries. They go into Hebrew and Greek. They go Greek maps, and so because they're pretty much training to be a pastor, minister, whatever. So that's what Vocab Malone did. I don't know if he got a master's or he's going for his master's, but he graduated from a particular seminary. So the knowledge that he has is stuff that he learned from that particular theological cemetery. All right, so what I did was I put in the Bible Hub. Actually, it's the Bible Hub, which is a commentary site. There's plenty of them, and it's good to go into these. A lot of y'all don't go into these sites, but it's good to go into these commentaries because they're either hit or miss. Sometimes they'll give you some information. They'll give you some information based upon, like if you go to the MOTB, Revelation 30, and I'm always going to that, Revelation 13, 16, or 16 and 17. If you go into it, they don't tell you that it's the micro C-hip, but they will reference you to, what was that, the Ptolemaic dynasty, and also mainly the Ptolemaic dynasty, where they had them worshiping Barcus, or Adonis, I believe another name for him, but Barcus, the god of wine, song, sex, and so forth. But when the people under the Ptolemaic dynasty in Egypt, and also in the Greeks, they if you were a practitioner of that, the partying, chamberings and so forth, rioting in the night, what they do is they'll take a brand of a leaf, ivy leaf, and they'll brand you, on your arm. Just like today, you have Jakes. How many millions of Jakes go to these different colleges around the world and join fraternities and sororities? Oh, here's a question for the IUIC. These guys never go to these fraternities or sororities. Maybe they went once or twice, But then I guess they don't give a damn about them. Because all those Jakes that are the men are part of fraternities. Frat means brotherhood, and sororities mean sisterhood. And you got both Jake men and Jake women that are heavy into that Greek philosophy that you are introduced to when you go to these colleges. So these Jakes in these colleges, and then they get these higher positions. The Jakes that are always on the news, CNN or whatever, or newscasters or experts and in their field, or professors and so forth, doctors, lawyers. You got a certain class of Jake that's over the average everyday Jake. So there's levels to the Jake. You have Jakes. You have what is it called? The name, it was right in my head, but it escaped me. The Boulets. Okay, you read about the Boulets, and that's actually a fraternity / sorority, if not fraternity, but I believe it's men and women, and they get them super high positions. You know, they up there living like Esau. But anyway, we would classify all of them as Greeks, heathens, Israelites that don't know that they're Israelites, as opposed to Edomite Greeks or heathens. So you have Vocab Malone laughing with this Jake, and they're saying, "Oh, he doesn't know." John 7:35 is talking about the other nations, not talking about Israelites. So anyway, we can read it. Matter of fact, you know what I'm gonna do? Let me do this. I'm sorry, John. Let me go to John. Seven 35. Okay, it says, "Then said the Jews among themselves, Whither will he go that we shall not find him? Will he go unto the dispersed house?" The Gentiles are the other nations to teach the Gentiles. The Gentiles right here are the Israelites in the Gentile state of mind. But they started off as being dispersed. Now, let me check something out. Let me do this. Let me open this up. Back to the basics. I'm going to look at the word, okay, so it says here, Helene, will he, let me go back up to it. Will he go among the dispersed the Israelites, among the Gentiles, other nations, to teach the Gentiles? Right here, this is referring to the other nations that the Israelites are going to encounter when they were dispersed. To teach the Gentiles, same word, G 1672, but however, this means the Israelites. But wait a minute, it's the same exact word, G 1672. G 1672. Yeah, but they mean two different things. You have actual Greeks, and you have other nations outside of Israel that are labeled Greeks. And then you have Israelites that didn't know that they were Israelites, labeled as Greeks or Gentiles. Do a word search on the word Gentile, as they'll say. Matter of fact, you know what? Let me do this. Wow, Gentiles. well, this is the Old Testament. So you see Matthew, a lot of Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, even up to to the book of Revelation. So anyway, excuse me. So let's go to the Cambridge Bible for Schools and Colleges, and they're semi-right. They're half right. It says, then said the Jews thereof said, i.e., in consequence of what the Messiah had said, showing that it is to the official representatives of the nation that his words are addressed. Whither will he go? That's them saying, better, where does this fellow intend to go, seeing that we shall not find him? Does he intend to go unto the dispersed among the Gentiles? So the first time you see Gentiles, it's talking about the other nations. Second time you see Gentiles, it's talking about Israelites or the dispersed. The dispersed are Israelites scattered among the Gentiles. Now, they're going to tell you that. It says the dispersed or the dispersion, meaning those Jews or actually Israelites who were dispersed among the heathen, the other nations. Outside Palestine, the abstract for the concrete, like the circumcision for the Jews, right, and the Gentile-minded Israelites are called the uncircumcision. Generally, the word for dispersion, diaspora, occurs, now let's not check this out, James 1:1. So who is the dispersed? Israelites. How do you prove it? James 1:1. It said, James, a servant of the Most High, and of the Lord Yahawashi HaMashiach, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greetings. Now, what did he mean by that? He meant everywhere the Israelites were scattered, because there was a great scattering. 1 Peter 1:1. Peter, an apostle of Yahawashi HaMashiach, to the strangers scattered throughout Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia. So what does it mean by strangers? It means the Israelites. He just called them strangers. Because the apostle Paul, he became apostle to the Gentiles. He magnified his office. He was dealing with Israelites that knew that they were Israelites and was keeping the laws, but didn't know of the Messiah. And he was dealing with Israelites that didn't know that they were Israelites. Perfect example, Cornelius. Cornelius obviously rose up in a family where they didn't teach him that he was an Israelite. It says, see notes there, and nowhere else in the New Testament there were 3 chief colonies of those dispersed or scattered Jews in Babylon or Babylonia, Egypt, and Syria. So this happened hundreds and even thousands of years before this time period, which is during the time of Yahawashi. So they've been dispersed. Some of them that dispersed kept the law, statutes, and commandments, and some of them just lost it through the years. Give you another time mark in history. During the time of the Maccabees, they were forcing them not to be Jews. Antiochus Epiphanes. That's why, in order for you to understand these scriptures, you have to understand. You got to put a scholarly cap on. Hence, they spread over the whole world. That's literal, even to the Americas. As I always go into, to ad nauseum, I always mention Acts chapter 1, around about verse 5, 6, 7, where the Lord said, you will receive power and you will prophesy in Judea, Jerusalem, Yahawadah, Judea, Jerusalem, and Samaria, because you had Israelites there. And then he said to the uttermost part of the earth. They ain't talking about the whole, he didn't say, and all the whole rest of the planet earth. He said the uttermost part of the earth. The uttermost part is the other side of the earth, which is the west. So you got Nate talking about 12 tribes worldwide, 12 tribes worldwide. No, your focus is here in America. I can see if you had, 20 million people, then you still got to hit billions of people. Excuse me. It says, Moses of old time hath in every city them that preach him. Okay, Acts 15 and 20. For Moses of old time has in every city them that preach him, being read in the synagogue every Sabbath day. Now that's what the Lord did. And in the kingdom, we're gonna be reading we're gonna be gathered in these temples, man. And we're gonna honor the Lord on that day. Nobody's gonna work, not even your slaves. These opponents of the Messiah, therefore, suggest that he means to go to the Jews. He means to go to the Jews among the Gentiles, Israelites among the other nations, in order to reach the Gentiles. Now they're saying, does this make sense? The Lord's going to go to the scattered or the dispersed of Israel to then teach at other nations. Does that make sense? It doesn't make any sense. That's why we know the first time Gentile is mentioned in John 7:35 are other nations. The last time, the last word in that verse is to teach the Gentiles. It's talking about Israelites that have been scattered among the Gentiles. And teach them. So the Lord is going to come. He's going to go to the other around the world, on the other side of the world. I was talking about the Americas. And he's going to say, what are you? I'm an Israelite. Well, I'm not teaching you. I'm teaching this guy, this heathen right here. This Edomite. This is why it's a waste of time dealing with these clown-ass Christians, man. Especially these scholars. The very mode of proceeding afterwards adopted by the Apostle Paul. Now, when the Apostle Paul was in Romans 11, he magnified his office to the Gentiles. Is talking about Israelites. But here it is spoken in sarcasm. The Messiah's utter disregard of Jewish exclusiveness and apparent, not right, exclusiveness meaning that you can't deal with another nation, not observance of the ceremonial law gave a handle to the sneer, which would be pointless if the word translated Gentile, margin Greeks, were rendered Hellenists. Now the Hellenists were Israelites. You got Hellenists. If you look up the word Greek in the New Testament, Hellenists, and you got to know this, because you got to tell these, well, wait a minute, the Jews first and also the Greeks. Oh, so the Most High came for only two nations now? I'll say, are you a Greek? Nope, then you ain't going to make it. Are you an Israelite? Nope. Are you a Greek? Nope, then you ain't going to make it. It ain't talking about that. So the word Greek goes back to the word in the Greek is Hellenists, which are Israelites that didn't know that they were Israelites, like Cornelius. Cornelius would be considered a Hellenist, i.e. Greece Jews or Grecians. Grecians are Hellenes. I went through this before, which are Israelites born outside the land of Palestine that kept the law, statutes, and commandments. Perfect example, the Israelites of Alexandria, Egypt, or Greeks. In New Testament always means Gentiles or heathens. See John 12 and 20. I already noticed. There was a festival going and the Greeks wanted to join the Israelites. Why did these Greeks want to join the Israelites? Because they were Israelites that didn't know that they were Israelites. That's what it's talking about. Now let me do this in closing. Let me just go to NLT. What does that stand for? I forget what it stands for. I forget what NLT stands for. I'm sorry. Let me do this. Let me do this. John. Seven 35. Back to the basics. Okay, so we're going to read it again in the NLT. The Jewish leaders were puzzled by this statement. Where is he planning to go? They asked, is he thinking of leaving the country and going to the Jews, Israelites, in other lands? Maybe he will even teach the Greeks. So he's going to go to another land, look for the Jews, and say, well, I'm not here to teach you. I'm here to teach these heathens. It says, will he go to other countries, going to the Jews in other lands? Maybe he will even teach these Israelites. The word there should be Israelites. Greeks, the same word in Galatians 3 and what is that, 28. So, anyway, with that, I'm going to say Shalom.